Yes, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Digital HR, a leading community in human resource, I, Chandan Anand, Vice President of InnoSub Group and Digital HR, welcome you all today in the exciting webinar forum. And which the topic of the session today is how the automobile industry can transform their HR culture. Digital HR, just to give a bit highlight about what digital HR is into. So digital HR has been doing and creating this virtual knowledge sharing platform by organizing series of webinars, virtual events, training sessions, mindfulness classes, thus creating opportunities of sharing ideas and innovation, opportunities of collaborations, and has somewhere helped and encouraged the use of technology in HR space. So digital HR, we have been, catering to more than almost 85,000 outreach in the HR fraternity. We have opened 10 chapters, 10 city chapters, connecting the HR professionals from across the segment. And we are just, we are encouraging and we are advocating the use of digital media and the social media and how to inculcate the habit of, reskilling and include innovation in the HR practices. So this we have been doing by creating this excellent community of HR fraternity around the digital transformation of HR services and processes, which would bring transformation in various sectors. We have been able to bring experts and HR leaders from the sectors like e-commerce, banking and finance, healthcare, IT, ITS, hospitality, etc. Today, we are meeting with the HR leaders of the automobile sector to this common platform of knowledge sharing. We are creating knowledge sharing platform and networking platform with who's who from the HR sector, thus creating the opportunity of collaboration. We are thrilled to inform that webinar got an overwhelming response and participation from across the country. We are extremely thank you to all of you, even to the speakers, listeners, and audience who are present over here. We extend our grateful thanks to XOXO for helping us and supporting us in becoming the associate partner for this event, thus encouraging and motivating digital HR in organizing these webinar series so that a wonderful deliberation can happen and people at large in the HR fraternity can get benefited out of it. We all caught off guard and faced numerous challenges as we adopt the new normal. Organizations have boldly faced the disruption and were quick to adopt technological innovations and have been able to stabilize and bounce back quickly as the pandemic unfolded. This virtual event will explore the automotive industry must identify and provide sustainable solutions for the mobility and transport system for the future. At the same time, a large amount of good transport will take place in the urban areas, increasing the need of cleaner and more energy efficient distribution vehicles. HR culture transformation will be critical to success for the success of organization, but they are also incredibly complex and challenging. Thus, that will especially true when your workforce is large and your organization is long established. Today's expert panel speakers will have an exciting deliberation on the same. So without wasting much time, may I please invite my colleague Ashish Muglu to please introduce our eminent speakers for the day. Ashish, over to you.
Thank you so much, Chandanji, for giving me this opportunity to introduce our panelists and our delegates who are coming and joining this wonderful session. So good afternoon, everyone. I, Ashish Maglu, leading the digital HR community part of InnoServe Group, welcomes to all the eminent speakers who are joining our today's session. I would like to thank all the delegates who are joining today this wonderful session. And also I would like to thank our XXO who are joining us today as a associate partner in this subject and the event. So let me introduce the first keynote speaker, Mr. Gurmeet Singh, who is the Vice President of Sales from XOXO Day. Gurmeet comes with the 15 years of experience working primarily with the HR to solve complex problems via technology intervention. He has managed large business and team across geographies. He was with Teamlease, Staples, and Times of India in the past, and currently he heads the business function at XOXO Day. We have Miss Aparna Dhingra. She is India Head HR BMW Group. Miss Aparna is a thought leader with versatile experience in driving change, leadership enablement, and organization effectiveness. She has worked across roles in sectors like IT, ITES, healthcare service, automotive, manufacturing, and financial services. She leads HR and facilities for all the entities of BMW Group in India, including the sales, company, plant, and the financial service division as well. We have Ms. Jyoti Singh. She is currently working as the corporate HR and planning head with Honda Car India Limited. She is having 20 plus years of work experience with IT and automobile companies, namely HCL, Birlasoft, and Honda Car India Limited. She has successfully led HRIT transformation, organization culture, and capability development initiative in her role as well. We have Mr. Rahul Mehendirata, who's heading the HR at Sendan Vikas, which is a part of Vikas Group. Rahul is a passionate HR professional with more than 19 years of versatile experience in diverse industry type, pharma, textile, FMCG, automotive, OEM, apparels, fashion, and auto ancillary. Rahul has a strong exposure in the area of HR policy design and execution of HR technology, talent acquisition, retention, talent development, manpower, cost optimization, and HR business transformation. Apart from that, he has a balanced scorecard of HR operation excellence, greenfield plant, organization reengineering, and settlement strike closure as well. Currently, he is working as the general manager, human resource management, heading the HR function at Indo-Japanese Sandan Vikas India Private Limited, taking care of the 4 plants. We have Mr. Sanjay Ahuja. He is heading the talent management and the performance of TVS Motor Company. Sanjay is having 17 years of experience in various automotive companies like TVS, Mahindra, and Sonalika. He has been instrumental in driving change such as digital transformation, organizational designing, job architecture, grade structuring, reward strategy, leadership development as well. Currently, he heads the performance and talent management from the TVS Motor organization. So I request and thank you to joining this wonderful session and welcomes you all of the keynote speakers who are joining us. And let me take the opportunity to share this session towards Gurmeet Singh, who is also the moderating and one of the key industry speaker as well.
Yeah, Gurmeet, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ashish and Chandan, for putting in the context right. First of all, it's a privilege to be on the session with such senior folks. For me, I'm looking at it more from a learning standpoint and obviously share what we do at the org level. Again, just to revisit some of it, I'm Gurmeet. I head the business as Zozode. Primarily, I worked with companies to solve complex human resource problems and how technology can solve those problems. And that's the kind of, whether it is from a recruitment perspective, from a training perspective, from an engagement perspective now, from an R&R perspective now. So I've had the opportunity to work across board from different domains within HR. So that's what I do. I currently work with, I'm with Zozode. I had the business. A quick brief on the company. Zozode, we are predominantly employee engagement and a rewards organization. We were, just give me a moment, please. So we are basically a technology company. We've built technology tools that can help you engage and reward your employees. We have the tools available for the entire ecosystem of workforce. Now, when I say workforce, obviously employer is one bit of it, but you also want to engage your dealers, distributors, partners, sometimes your customers, and so on and so forth. So these are the tools we have built: Impulse, Compass, and Plum, and all of these tools have a very specific direction. When I say tool, these are apps which work on desktop and mobile. These are user-friendly, DIY, do-it-yourself, plug and play, all of that is taken care of. And these basically will help you engage your employees on the go. From an engagement perspective, there are multiple levers to it, and we kind of have covered all the pillars from that perspective. If you look at, just to give you a glance of one of the product, the Impulse product, which stands for Employee Pulse, takes care of all the levers in the engagement space, including how can you democratically appreciate not just monetary, even non-monetary, to a colleague of yours saying a thank you, a value card, or badge. As an HR, you want to gather feedback. Yes, you can do that via Impulse. You want to run a complete R&R capsule within Impulse. You can do that. And obviously, the approach is that we offer you everything that you need from an engagement R&R perspective in one tool, so that you don't really kind of look at multiple tools, and then the tool might lose its real meaning as you move forward. So that's pretty much on the organization. Our website is a knowledge repository. It's pretty much open in terms of information and videos that are available over here. And I'll encourage our participants to take a look at it as and when they have the time. Now coming to the session for today, my honest submission there is, I think with the pandemic, a lot has changed. The way also I look at it, that it is maybe due to pandemic right now, but a lot of these things that are happening right now would have happened maybe 5-7 years down the line, and maybe somebody has called it earlier. Somebody has called it. Maybe the pandemic has called it now. Maybe these things would have happened maybe 2025, 2030, but now a lot of technology adoption is happening. So just to summarize where we stand today for the automobile industry, I think the first question is why there is a need, and if there is a need, why there is a need for the HR to actually change, to actually transform from the way it was working, let's say 12 months back or 36 months back. And what has pandemic done to it? I mean, is there a direct impact of pandemic because of which there is a change required? Are there going to be different set of levers that needs to be now played out because workforce is changing, customer is changing? We just spoke about how customer demands have changed. So looking at that whole evolution, is there a real change, and what is it? That's one important bit. Pandemic effect is another important bit. And obviously technology is an overriding principle. I personally believe that I think technology makes it easier, makes it more approachable. That's the 3 points that I think I would like to bring forth for the eminent speakers here. I like to open the house. If there are any queries for me, more than happy to take it. Otherwise, I think I like to open the house. Maybe bring in Ms. Jyoti, if Ms. Jyoti would like to pick up a thread from here on. Why transformation? How has pandemic impacted, or how technology can now enable, or anything else that you think you want to share with us?
Thank you very much, Gurmeet. It's a very interesting topic to talk about. And while you were talking, I was just thinking about, culture and the whole HR, across the zones, across the globe, keep on working on this culture piece. And to larger population, culture would be, we say trust, transparency, initiative, etc., etc. When this pandemic happened, there is an important thing which would now get added to the culture definition of the organizations, and that is safety.
Right.
I was not absolutely coming into my mind. While, I've been working long on how to build HR culture or organization culture, if I have to speak more about it. And it has been largely in most of the organization on to build the competencies, right? To start with how the trust should be built, how the employees should be more transparent, how they should take initiatives. This pandemic has actually reversed the pyramid and has put the whole onus of making the employees in their organization safe, and safety as a part of culture. Now, I'll share some example how we look through this, and this is something which has happened universal. I'm sure rest of my colleagues would also have something to share about it. When the pandemic happened, we were actually not very careful about our employees' health. It was something which was there. We would take care of it. We would have wellness programs, etc., etc. But safety was, or the health of the employees was not the top priority. Now, what this pandemic has put all of us to think about is how the health, and when I'm saying health, I'm talking about physical, spiritual, mental, because it has impacted on all the three aspects.
Absolutely.
I work for a Japanese automobile maker, and we have a very stringent process of safety checks. Most of these processes were for plants, for the machinery.
Right.
But this pandemic put the man into real focus.
Right.
Where before you would check the health of a machinery, you were actually checking the health for a man. And it was like every day you're checking into the airport. You have to go through your temperature check, you have to pass through some tunnels, you have to do so many things. And we were not doing it because it was to be done. The guard at the checkpoint was not doing it because, it has to be done as a part of a checklist. Actually, it got into the habit. And when you build a culture, there are a few things which needs to be driven. One, it should have a purpose. Second, it should be doable. You should give an opportunity. Third, it should have a success story. So the way we drove the entire safety concept at Honda Cars which was so visible that we did not allow any kind of clusters to be built up. And we were able to keep, the spread of pandemic to the lowest. We started our plant operations in the month of May. And we have the lowest number of cases just because driving safety became the culture. We were also checking how are our guards commuting. That was something which we would have never ever cared about. How the guard who is checking is commuting to the office. If he's using a public transport, we will send our transport to pick you up. These are certain things which were never a part of, HR checklist. These are now, absolutely must. And this is going to become a part of culture. If an organization will not take care of health of their associates or their employees, you have a big culture gap. Yes, we moved towards IT, fastest growth was of IT, but, there was a parallel run and that was of health of the employees. And here we got automation, you are sitting at this place and you're checking the health and you're checking the productivity using IT tools. So the beauty of this pandemic was things which would have taken ages to happen, we becoming more sensitive to the IT applications and to safety. These two things got married together. We did not suffer any kind of loss of productions because we had to build our IT systems and we have to build, the organization health into it
as well.
So I think, yes, pandemic has been, has hit everybody worse. There's a 7% GDP loss and automobile sector is the biggest contributor to the overall GDP. We are 22% less in our sales compared to last year, but it has created much safer environment and much faster environment due to IT penetration.
Super. I think that's great, Jyoti. I think my takeaway, if I were to summarize, I think health is at the forefront, at the driver's seat right now. The way we look at the health, apart from, and I like the way you put out saying we were looking at machines a lot and not really humans in that sense. I think that's a very big paradigm shift. We are now, I think, looking at it more granular that, a human being is also as important or even more important. Your team member is even more important. And I think I completely agree that our way of doing business, the way of looking at things have changed. And I think that's a very, very great comparative, Jyoti. I think thank you so much for that. That's what I would say I've learned from your inputs. I'd like to take the opportunity to bring in Aparna. Ms. Aparna, if you'd like to pick up a thread from here, or if you like, I could kind of reset the agenda again. It's about transformation, why transformation, and if there's an impact, what is it from the pandemic side or on the technology, how technology will enable, or anything else that you think you want to share with us. You're welcome to take this ahead.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having us over here. I think it's a great panel, and it's definitely, of course, it's clearly, I think the fact that we all connecting over a virtual platform shows how all of us, and not just HR, have dealt with the situation. I think webinars were not something which people were used to, but I think a lot of people have become extremely hands-on and look forward to webinars as a media to sort of not only interact and share views, but also learn. So definitely, even without realizing, I think all of us have this innate ability to adapt and change when there's a crisis. And I think last year was definitely a year where I think all organizations and I think all industries, leave aside auto industry, had to, of course, think on their feet and adapt very, very fast. I think, we talk about and read a lot about VUCA, but I think in all manners, it was a volatile year. I think our businesses were under tremendous pressure, across the country and across the globe, not just the country, but across the globe. And I think the way every industry responded and reacted, I think is extremely, it's full of learnings. I think both from a business side and all the function side, and also from an HR point of view. And I think for me, it's a little bit more broader topic. And, of course, automobile is a slightly more traditional sort of an industry, so to say. And hence, I think, and especially in India, I think we were not prepared really for a work from home environment. I think we keep talking about work from home. We keep talking about flexible work environments. But I think India as a whole has not fully taken on work from home till, of course, the pandemic hit us. And I think it's not just, I think, this round who will probably agree, but I think, if you talk to other industries as well or other sort of leaders as well, probably the same will be resonated that, till the time the pandemic hit us in India, we were not prepared to work from home. I think this was something we were always experimenting in. We always felt that there were certain departments, there were certain functions that could never work from home. For example, sales could never work from home. You spoke about some of that earlier. We always felt that HR could never work from home because you need to have an employee touch. We said that the call centers can never work from home because you are constantly on calls and you need to have a noiseless environment. So I think a lot of our own fundamental beliefs on how things operate totally came down crashing. And I think we all sort of adapted, and not just adapted, I think we came up with quick fix solutions without having this massive transformation behind us. And I think that's learning. That's a learning. And I think that's where I draw my inspiration. And I think, of course, pandemic has been tough, both personally and professionally for all of us. I think in different formats, different situations. But I think I draw a lot of inspiration through what happened last year. And I look at the future as extremely positive because I think, like I said, I think there's an innate ability to respond to change and deliver business results. I think there was a Q2, as soon as the pandemic hit us, I think most of the companies, most of the industries came crashing down because there was a complete lockdown. And I think pretty much all sectors across the country were at a standstill, leave aside. But I think the way the industry has rebounded from Q3 onwards, I think is really, really heartwarming. Nothing has changed much, except for the manufacturing has gone back. I think most of the corporate sector is still pretty much in a work from home environment. I think we can see it from some of us who are still working from home. And doing quite well. I think the industry did rebound in Q2, in Q3, Q4. So really going back to the topic that you had, Ashish, and the question that you had, Gurmeet, I think HR has definitely responded already last year, and I think that will definitely lead to a lot of paradigm shift in the future as well. It'll take some time. I think, last year what we saw was knee-jerk reactions. I think it was our ability, it was adaptation to a crisis that happened. And that's what most of us did. We didn't have time to have case studies. We didn't have empirical research and empirical studies to respond. It was on your feet, knee-jerk reactions, and we came out quite strong. But I think this lays the foundation of what we have in future. I think we used to talk about work from home. I think it's going to be work from anywhere. I mean, we don't talk about work from home anywhere anymore. We talk about work from any place now. It doesn't make a difference where you are, as long as your fundamentals of an organization are strong. I think that's where culture comes up as a very strong foundation of what the company values are, and I think that's core. I think that will not change and should not change unless there is a requirement. I think hence that will completely transform the way we look at employees coming to office, working from a certain environment, and so on and so forth. I also believe. And that may be a slightly, I think, a very strong view. But I also feel that, a lot of times, traditionally, we used to consider a lot of things fixed. Yeah. And I think that everything that we used to consider fixed will become flexible over a period. And I give you a small example. We spoke about workplace as an environment where we go. So you go to office every day, which is fixed. That's become flexible already. Yeah. We talk about having a fixed manager. You come to office, report to somebody on a daily basis. Right. Yeah. But during this time, working on projects, project management, working as consultants became a very common phenomena. And I think that will change. I think as you look at the new age, I think a lot of people don't want to be associated with the one company alone. They want to sort of hone their skills and work with multiple employers. So it's more like an Uberization of jobs, if I can use that parlance. So I think in many ways jobs will become very flexible. So there will be some kind of an Uberization of jobs where you will be rated on the skill sets and the delivery rather than a performance appraisal. Yeah. And the employer gets a chance to select or choose an employer depending upon their own rating. Yeah. So that's where Uberization is. So you will not have fixed contracts, you'll have flexible contracts, and in many ways, the way the traditional setup of an organization is, in my view, should undergo a change. I think we're prepared for that already. I think it's about taking that next leap of how things will transform. So I hence think that transformation will not just be in terms of virtual hiring, virtual onboarding, and virtual interviewing. I think we've all gone through that. We've seen it all. That's become, in a way, the new normal. I don't think so. Right. Now we have 5 sets of interviews face to face. I think all of us know that's not required. So I think we are already moved ahead. I think the future is, like I said, extremely interesting. I do feel that transformation and HR will play a very important role in changing the way we look at the companies, look at employees, we look at engagement in future. Slightly provocative, but yeah, very interesting nonetheless.
Great. I think. Thank you so much for that. I think it's a very, very good, and I like the way you put out that Uberization of jobs. That's. I think we can see a lot of changes in the way the employment. A lot of. In fact, I have come across certain roles which are now contractual, and people are okay with those roles right now. We were not okay with that a year back. People were scared of contracts, saying, I don't want to work as a contractual employee. But a lot of people are now opting for it, saying, I'm okay. I mean, I can spend 4 hours a week, 4 hours a day, 2 hours a week, or whatever. I mean, I can do the way I want to do it, and I'll contribute. I get paid for my contribution. So I think, yeah. So I think forward-looking. A lot of your thoughts are extremely forward-looking in terms of what will happen, may happen, and that's great. Thank you so much for that insight. I like to bring in Mr. Sanjay, Mr. Rahul, Mr. Sanjay, if you'd like to pick it up from here.
Yeah. So, and I think one theme which is running across all organizations would be that human being at the center of everything. I think every culture, the organization which are large and as well as they are existing for so long, and I think the human approach has been at this center of all their culture change and culture transformation. Any initiative, whether it is pandemic or even before pandemic, if organizations have kept human being at the center, I think those organizations have really survived any crisis. And I think this crisis or pandemic has also served us as that opportunity. So according to me, the culture, I believe, is a personality of the organization. So any major life event obviously transform any individual personality and hence organization personality also. So that part, of course, this pandemic has resulted in a lot of transformation. For example, now work from anywhere, like Aparna mentioned. So I would say work from anywhere and work anytime, anywhere, I would say. Right. Now anytime, anywhere. And of course, the flexible work environment and the safety and the well-being of employees are at the forefront of the entire this transformation. And when it comes to safety, I would say even not only physical safety, but also the psychological safety. I think the organizations are also playing a very important role in or putting more importance to the psychological well-being of the employees. And the way organizations were not even looking at that, but I think the stress level are rising, and as well as even the balance between the work and as well as their personal life. So that has really caused a lot of stress amongst everyone. So that psychological safety, mental well-being is also a very important part of it. So I would say, as an organization, TVS as an organization has also been taking care of all employees and their families, extended families. So some of the things during this COVID was what we did beside all the measures every organization has taken was also ensuring that building the immunity of amongst family members, and also that we ensure that the immunity boosters, so whatever were prevalent at that time, so reaches all nooks and corners of the I would say country, and hence every employee, whoever is there in whatever place, so we ensure that that immunity boosters are there. And of course all safety norms and physical safety, as well as the health wholesome kind of lectures, or even the inviting guests, to ensure that they also are engaged with the organization. So that I think has been taking all employees along in all decisions. So I think those are some of the things which have really happened in during this time. And in automobile, we are experiencing the various changes like connected vehicle, autonomous, and of course the shared mobility and all that. Similar to that, the culture is also transforming in a way. We are connected virtually from anywhere, and also the need for collaboration has gone up, I would say. Because here earlier we were there, and as and when need for the work was there, we could straight away go on to anybody's seat and of course ask for help. But now the need for collaboration in the change environment definitely has gone up. One, because of course the nature of work has changed, because the automobile companies are also undergoing the technology transformation, and of course the digital transformation. So that being connected and collaborative work, I think that is one change, I would say. And then the autonomous, taking accountability and ownership, because now it is very difficult to measure, and even for a manager also, even to how they will measure and evaluate, and they will observe behaviors. It is very difficult in digital environment. So in this scenario, the taking accountability and ownership of whatever assignment and task, or even the results, that I think will definitely go for a change. So these are the two main changes which I anticipate. And as I mentioned, any culture transformation, I usually refer to a very famous model, I think T.V. Rao, famous model of Octapace. So I always see that how organizations have been moving on that model of Octapace, which means openness, the transparency, and how much organization is willing to communicate with their employees and as well as extended families. Then the confrontation, not avoiding problems, but facing the challenges and problems. And then being autonomous, definitely the autonomous taking the complete freedom and accountability for what you are doing, and building trust. I think that is very important when we are definitely having this challenge of managing our work and as well as personal life. So that building trust, yes, my team member would be definitely delivering, and the trust factor by the manager to the employees, all those are very important drivers. So these are some of the changes which organization definitely is experiencing. So this is what I have to say, that yes, I think the change has been there, but now pandemic has provided the opportunity to accelerate that change.
Correct. Great. I think, Mr. Sanjay, that's a great insight. I think collaboration, the needs are changing. The way we are now going to look at remote teams, how we're going to evaluate them. And I think a lot of trust is required even more than, because you may not meet your team member face to face, you just need to trust, which is, I think, connected to culture also. I mean, while we all want to have fun culture, open culture, ability to communicate democratically, appreciate democratically, and all of that is important. But I think baseline is trust, because end of the day, it's a top line, bottom line. We are all fighting a GMV game, right? So we all have numbers to achieve on all sides. We want to make sure in the end that number is done. But I think essentially, it boils down to the culture, trust, and extremely interesting. I learned two new things today about work from anywhere, anytime. That is like superb, and I think collaboration is an important piece. I think great insight. I'd like to take the opportunity to bring in Mr. Rahul. Sir, please come in, share your views, pick the thread from here. You're on mute, Mr. Rahul. Mr. Rahul, you're on mute.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mr. Rahul.
Yeah. So to me, it's like, technology and transformation, they both are, pretty integral part of, every now and then changing culture. Because to me, culture is just like an oxygen. And if you look at an organization which has, people who are working, and these people are of, different generations, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, and all. So how to meet people aspirations become a big challenge for an HR professionals. If I go back to the pre-COVID scenario and looking at, we are talking about automobile in specific, that talks me about, the kind of model, business model of, Uber, Ola, and, the way we used to, hire the taxis at that particular time, and also the concept of shared taxi came at that time. And that was the time when, there was a lot of slowdown in automobile sector, and, we used to just think that what could be the reason, and could this be the reason, or what else is the reason that, we are not fetching business from the market. And yes, there was this particular reason also of, slowdown, that, people were not buying cars, and, we have a slow market and all. But then thereafter, this, COVID scenario came in, and it was something very unexpected. And it was like, all said and done, we were hit from all the side, whether it was mental, physical, economical, everything was, different altogether. And it was like we were forced to think beyond the obvious. And there we started, thinking that, what next? And that started realizing us that we have to think beyond. And there were certain business models which were not thought. And as what, some of us has already mentioned, that we were thinking that those will come after, let's say, 5-8 years down the line. But they were those models started coming again, into the COVID scenario. And I remember, the time when we have never thought of, manufacturing masks in India. And there was a time when, we were importing those masks from other countries. And, immediately India started, manufacturing masks, and various factories, they started manufacturing masks. And these all new, products started manufacturing in India. And there lies the opportunity for Indian companies altogether. Another very good opportunity for India came in was the kind of, geopolitical scenario existing in Asia. And that was what I call it as a complete turnaround for India. Because if I look at, geological location of India, and the kind of global relations which India has as of now, I see that, this is complete, transition through which we are passing through. India is passing through a complete transition wherein the kind of population we have, the kind of average age what we have as of now, there is a big boom which is lying there in front of us. And for us, it is more to do with how best we can be more agile, more adaptive, and how best we look at this particular transformation, how we best we can capture this particular transformation in right perspective, in form of producing right quality of global standard, and that too in form of greater degree of speed. And whenever I refer to speed, certainly it talks about technology. Now, when we talk about all this aspect, the biggest positive aspect is about the mindset which has brought in the things which were we used to resist, that this cannot happen. The kind of method by which we used to work earlier, like work from home. The birth of work from home has happened because of COVID, which was there earlier in some of the European countries, but it has become far more adaptive, that yes, this can work, this is working, and this will be the new normal for tomorrow.
Correct.
So this is something really exciting, because there comes the role of a technology in place, and the kind of actions which we have to take in, wherein we have to also look at how best our operations are functional, how best human being who was not previously regarded as safe, the kind of safety measure which we supposed to take were not taken earlier. Now we are giving them prime importance. So the missing links are now jotted down, and we have become far more responsible, I would say, with this COVID. So I would say that overall, COVID has helped us a lot. It has created far more, I would say, self-realization, both from a human perspective as well as a business perspective. And I would say that for India and Indians, future is very bright. And the more is we have to upskill ourselves. We have to look at more from the people capability enhancements perspective point of view, and how best we can enhance the creativity as far as transformation aspects are concerned. So we have to move on from transactional aspect to transformation aspect, giving more importance to innovations and ideas. So this is a new culture which we will have to develop in each and every individual to so that they develop their mindset from that perspective. This is from my side.
Sure. I think great, Mr. Rahul. Thank you so much for that. I think this is very nicely sum up that a lot of things which were not considered okay pre-COVID or considered we cannot do, or we don't have the capacity. For example, the example of mask that you mentioned about. We were not there then, but now we are there. We can manufacture as much as you want. I think adoption has happened, and I think that's a very important input. And I think from an India perspective, I welcome your thoughts about, it's great that you put in that thought about, that we are placed right in terms of the growth. And I think we will do good as a nation. We've built the right muscles in the last 12 months to be doing good in the coming days. Good. So I think my honest submission is this is great. I mean, the kind of insights from all of you, I think a lot of learning. We've covered the human side of it, technology side of it, forward looking, how would jobs change, why one central thing that I could look at from the discussion till now is that culture at the base of it, with the ability to change, adopt. We were not prepared for adoption, right? We didn't know what we were going to be hit by before pandemic came, but we had to adopt. We had to take some shortcut methods, some long-term methods, some knee-jerk reactions. We were not really prepared. The outcome is now we are well prepared. We know if anything like this happens again, we know how to handle it. I think culture, ability of being flexible, embracing technology, building trust as a culture, I think is also paramount. Having now, we've seen all of us working from home, our teams are working from home. So I think that trust culture is also very, very important. And not just to connecting all of this to one query that that comes to my mind is, and this is open to everyone. I mean, please chip in, add to this. Is that, do we see that because of this pandemic and a lot of this work from home right now, somewhere the humane touch, obviously we as humans, when we have this, we want that. When we have that, we want this. When we were doing everything offline, we wanted online. Now we're doing everything online. Somebody says, no, offline was better. So I think that's a TT that will keep happening. But my query is, somewhere you think we're missing out the human, or we will miss out the human touch, and should we be cautious about it? Looking at too much of technology, and how do we handle it? I mean, because that's important. Just opening the house to everyone to comment on that.
Well,
very interesting. Sorry, please continue.
Go ahead.
Well, I would say that, yes, that human touch, the way we used to gather together and the kind of expression we used to show and the kind of fun we used to have on different rejuvenation programs which we used to do, that will certainly, that cannot be compromised as far as, technology is concerned. But then, yes, there are various different kind of methods through which we have already initiated. And certainly there are various virtual platforms through which, not this way or other way we can certainly adopt. And we have already started adopting to see that how best we can further connect to our employees. But then, yes, technology can never replace human beings. You cannot, just, place robots and then, human beings can take place of the robots and they can serve as a waiter always. So that kind of expression, that kind of emotional connect that is, replaceable, I would say that. But certainly, yes, technology has its way
of doing it. I agree to that. Right.
In my view, I think, Gurmeet, we're talking about two different extremes. I think from
another
extreme, which is, completely online, to a completely sort of offline physical to
online.
I think, and in any form, the extremes beyond a point don't work. And I think even this format today, whether we talk about, working from anywhere or anytime, I think beyond a point, we are all human beings and we have a need. There's a need to socialize.
Absolutely.
And I think across demographics, across sections of society, we have a need to sort of meet face to face and have a social belonging. So I think the solution is somewhere in the middle. I do feel that I think most organizations have realized, and maybe bearing the manufacturing, because you cannot work on a work environment. But I think outside of that, almost all organizations have realized that the best solution is somewhere in the middle. Sometimes, some will, maybe a physical workplace will take precedence. Sometimes an online or a virtual workplace will take precedence. But I think that flexibility is something that most organizations have realized is here to stay. Yeah.
Right.
And it's not here to stay for, just being a great employer and providing flexibility to employees. But I think as a very progressive employer, it helps you be more agile, be more flexible, be more productive. You can hire a lot more talent who is not necessarily based in your work location only. You can sort of hire anywhere across the country, and so on and so forth. So there are various benefits of looking at a coexisting kind of a model. And I think the solution is somewhere in between there.
Right. I agree to that. Yeah. It's a mix of...
So just to add to, what Aparna and Rahul has said, see, first thing we need to understand was this change was not driven by us. It happened. And just to draw an analogy, the dinosaurs, extinguished. Why? Because they were not able to adapt to the change. They were not able to move fast, right?
Right.
So anything which would not be agile or adaptive, this change happened because we all had a crisis. If we would have not adopted, there was an economic crisis and we were at war. So the best, the fastest change or the fastest transformation happens when either you are at a war or when, it's an economic crisis. Both the things happen together. So we simply had no options left but to become more IT savvy. We do not want it. For automobile sector, it was the most difficult, and it will become a case study later on, because our core product can be only built in a workshop.
Right.
We cannot shift it, right? Like IT or a service thing.
Right.
So it was extremely difficult for us to understand that how do we change here? Now, because the core product cannot get shifted, so is your purchase, so is your sales, so is your customer service, everything cannot change. But we stopped the production and we moved everything at home. So now, we actually need to relook at it. Can we continue with this? We are asking our sales force to work from home. How long can they continue to work from home? Because there's a larger picture which gets missed out, right? There is a flow of information which is now having gaps. So as Aparna mentioned and as Rahul mentioned, that we actually need to come to a hybrid model. And that hybrid model, in this year, we would actually come across the challenges which we were not looking at last year. How will you do a performance evaluation when many people have not even got an opportunity to actually do their work? Correct. We were continuously doing webinars. So how will you make sure that those skills are actually people able to practice? Because we did webinars to train, but were they able to practice it? So the model has to again go through a shift, and it will have a lot of flexibility. We have to change, the whole process of planning everything, the 3 years plan, the 5 years plan are now nowhere. So it's the mindset which has to change, and we have to adopt. And maybe, it's going to be a different model than we are right now looking at. We are at one extreme, we move to the other extreme. It has to be, somewhere a 70-30 or 30-70 kind of a mix.
Superb. I think that's a great insight. Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I would say here the perception of this human touch all stems from the way during this crisis organization had dealt with it.
Right.
So the human element, even in spite of we not being physically present, I think if that element had been there, even whether it is about the safety or work from home, work from anywhere, or even providing all the Medicare, medical facilities. So all these are certainly the examples of the way organization has thought about that human element. So if that perception has not changed, I would say that whether we are physically present or not present, this is not going to change so significantly. That is one part. And second, we have to understand in the context that yes, this is work-life integration. Now, when we look at the individual need, in the pandemic is not only for the corporate world, but it is also equally for the families who are in the backyard. So I think if that psychological safety of the family health and as well as the psychological health is taken care, then I think the perception whether this human touch is there or not, I think that will remain same.
Sure, superb. I think we have a few questions here. I'll take them up. Before I get there, I just wanted to put out another open question. A thought I would say is since this is now, this session is obviously pandemic has affected all industries, everybody professionally, personally. On the automobile ecosystem only, if you were to look at only that for a moment, zero down on the automobile specifically, what are those two things, top two things, or three things, or the most important thing you think will change, has changed, or will change definitely? For an example, I'll give an example to set the perspective. Maybe we weren't very comfortable buying cars online. I don't know if this is the answer to the question, but I'm just picking up one of the learning I had from the session that wasn't there and now it is there. Maybe experiencing a vehicle at home wasn't there, it's there now. So from a business perspective, automobile, from a business perspective, from a human resource perspective, what you think is definitely changing, has changed, will change, one or two of those top things, and how do we handle it? Any aspect, I'm saying as an organization for the employer bit, as an organization from a customer organization bit. It's a pretty open-ended question in that sense.
I think I can sort of share my views on this one. I think again, very at a very broad level. I think as a customer ourselves. I mean, let's put ourselves as customers, and especially during the last year, how would we want? Let's say if we were to buy a car, how would we want to do the purchase and the entire cycle of buying a car? And I think that's pretty much what happened to almost. I think, and I'm saying probably on behalf of everyone, but I think that's the kind of a change and a shift we all saw across many companies.
Sure.
And I think, whether it was, a contactless test drive, so pretty much, you made sure that there was a as far as possible, a contactless experience in the entire buying cycle.
Sure.
There was online purchasing that started happening. And I'm talking about, even luxury cars. I mean, something that you will want to sort of, really consider before you put in that, you go ahead and make that purchase. And I think we saw that change happen from a customer point of view. Yeah. And I think safety came paramount. And I think that's how the companies adapted to make sure that we are able to provide that kind of experience and safety to our customers. I think not just the entire sales cycle, but I think very interestingly, the after sales, because after sales is one point where you practically cannot, have the after sales done through an online mode. You have to send your customer service. So there is that contact. And I think that's also where I saw a lot of companies, get into things like, live video kind of services, where a customer, without being physically present there, could see at any point of time, the part that was getting changed or the part that was getting serviced, just to create that element of trust. So I think trust was not just with the employees, because we were working virtually. But I think building trust was also an important element with the customers, whether it was existing customers or any new customers that we were onboarding. And I think it wasn't hence only at the point of a sales, where it is still sort of theoretically possible, but even after sales, where there is definitely a contact required. And I think that's where companies did see a lot of change in the way we now deal with our customers.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. I think that's a pretty insightful points. Thank you so much.
I'll definitely agree to what Aparna said. And in fact, from my own personal experience, while 4 months back, while sitting at home, I could purchase my car. And in fact, entire from test drive till delivery happened while I did not have to step out of my house. So that is the kind of experience I think we are talking about.
You would have thought of it, right? Otherwise.
Yeah, I would not have thought about it, certainly. And sir, from an HR point of view, if I have to add, then I think like customer experience, I think the employee experience, I think become paramount over here. And the need to communicate more and more. I think that is one thing which definitely is going to change. And while, of course, there have been various formal forums like town hall, all those things, but now the need for the one-on-one connect at the leader level and even skip level, I think that would be more profound, which we have experienced, because the people are going through a lot of turmoil physically, mentally. So I think that is one thing which definitely will change and change for better. And as I mentioned, that because the performance management, the way we are going to evaluate performance and all, so the individual taking the accountability and ownership of what they have been assigned, I think that part will definitely change. So while the earlier there are instances where we have to really review, instruct, and all those things. Now the way we will review in future will undergo a change. And I think that will bring even many changes in the performance management, which would be more of a self-driven than the organization-driven. So this is one change which I anticipate, that yes, if individual is willing to invest, then definitely it has to be coming through him. So the investment on learning also, like more and more investment on learning will come from him or her. So That is also going to change. And of course, earlier hiring, the way we were hiring, we were, if you ask me, we were looking at more of a culture fit. Now, instead of looking at the culture fit, we were looking at culture blend. So the ability to blend the culture with that person brings in, and then the organization culture. Instead of looking at exactly the whether the person is able to match our culture or not. So that is one thing definitely will change. And of course, as Rahul was mentioning, the fun at workplace. So those kind of things, like the way we engage our employees and team members, also going to see go through a lot of change. And that is where I think the business also have an opportunity to, I would say, invest in more and more such digital technology platforms. And I think as an ecosystem, the digital new age technology company will definitely flourish.
Super. Great. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Sanjay. I think this is very helpful. I think we've covered on the consumer side, we've covered on the employer ecosystem. I think that's great. Any more inputs, Mr. Rahul, Jyoti, or?
Yeah, Gurmeet, I think, automobile industry has been more of a process industry where, again, the entire focus has always been on, how to do it right. And, as far as I think, there was very less focus on the man or the person who's working on. The entire shift is now that, the person who is doing, you have to make sure that the person is well equipped, well informed. Two critical things would be communication, setting the context, because more than any time, I've known, the responsibility of the person is at all-time high at this moment. Right. If your employee is not, I would say, bought into the culture of self-development, self-initiative, they might miss the bus. Correct. So it is a responsibility of now HR that, when you are in office, things can be driven in a certain way. Now you're not in office, you're not in a brick and mortar, fixed environment where everything, the culture is set. Now the culture is traveled to your home, maybe to a coffee shop, maybe to, to a hill station. So how do you prepare your employees to be able to deliver, to be, to be still delivering on all the KPIs and KRAs and not being into the same, environment. So I guess the shift now is more on the person than the process. And we have to make sure that we're able to develop the employee or the workforce to be able to now take the responsibility on their own. Now they just can't run to their managers and say, I was not informed. Right. Getting the information is now on them. Preparing themselves is now more on them. Performance management and evaluation is also moving towards self, because as I said, when they are far away from the workplace, the opportunity to get work done is also becoming limited. Right. So here, I would say how I look at it is now the shift has happened to, to the man who's working now. Correct. I think I agree to that, Ms. Jyoti. I think there's a big paradigm shift here. Just to add to very, very insightful message from all of you. I think the challenge I also see now would be to build an engaged, happy workforce who's driven by numbers. There is underlying trust. We are open to learn. We are open to work. Like we always had, maybe team members had one manager. Maybe now, that whole logic will change. So I think a lot of adoption is required. The challenge will be to keep to make sure from a larger vision perspective, your team is engaged, motivated, appreciated, and not all of this monetary. I mean, not everything is obviously monetary. It's all also spontaneous, real time, more democratic in that sense is what I feel is required now. That instead of waiting for that quarterly meet, if someone has helped someone today on a project, the thank you should be sent out today, and a thank you need not be monetary, but it should be sent out immediately. And I think everybody needs it real time right now, because while we didn't touch upon this, and I also didn't touch upon this, I think stress as a capital, stress has increased. There's a lot of opinion around it, whether it has increased or it's all virtual. It's all maybe in the mind, but I'm saying people are
fighting a very different battle right now, being in the office and then being at home, managing family, other priorities, and then a fear of pandemic. So I think all of that has built a very different system for all of us. I think trust is going to be very, very important, is what I also feel at this point in time. I think those are two cents from me. I'm more than happy to open the forum for Q&A. So we do have, from our participants, we do have a question. I'll just take it up here. I mean, anybody can pick this up. This is more to do with, please share some thoughts on performance management during work from home scenarios. Appraisal is very challenging this year. If anybody would like to pick this up, please.
Yeah, I think what we are looking at here is this year approach, certainly. But I think it has long-term effects now. Now, the way earlier we were looking at performance management in terms of goal setting or even the evaluation and all, there was like a fixed formal tenure based, and hence there was a long, I would say, 1 year long goal setting and hence review at the periodic level. But now even the approach toward goal setting would not be seen as a 1 year long, but it would be align and adjust approach. So we will be looking at, yes, of course, the annual objective and all that, but at the same time, aligning with what is happening around and adjusting to the changes, and hence the align and adjust approach definitely will happen to goal setting, specifically in the performance management. And in terms of rewards, the way we are looking at rewards, again, it will become complete packaged, comprehensive, while what we were looking at earlier, reward as the outcome of performance, was more on how the composition and the in terms of actual money point. But now all those aspects of benefits, wellness will play a very important role when it comes to overall rewards. So I think this one change definitely will happen in the reward space, I would say. So, and the need for now in the work from home scenario, especially the manager to employee connect has to be there. So that need for shift of mindset, where my manager is not there, and both side, the trust, my manager is not there, still I am accountable for that. And my manager is, I am not able to review as I could, but still I have to trust my employee that he or she will deliver. I think this mindset shift has to happen. I would say that whether it has happened, I would say no. It will take time.
Sure.
So my 2 cents on this. So I think I'm yet to see any performance appraisal cycle which is ever easy. So I don't think that this year will be any different. I think, only for the 20% who think, who are above sort of expectations, I think for them only the performance appraisal cycles are always easy. But for the large part of the organization, I think every performance appraisal cycle comes with a little bit of a pinch of salt. So and I don't think so this cycle will change as well. Having said that, which was on a lighter note, I think the pandemic hit everybody quite equally, in the corporate sector or otherwise. I think and hence it has been a level playing field for everyone. And if you look at, let's say at a company level, I think the way the company has performed, the way the company has had, outcomes during the year, I think that outcome will eventually impact everybody. Yeah, it was not just an individual who was impacted by this COVID, it was the entire organization which was impacted. And hence, if somebody sort of was unable to do a certain task or a assignment, the others would have also been equally impacted because of the COVID. So it wasn't only an isolated case that one person got impacted and the rest of the organization didn't, or half the organization got impacted and the other half didn't, which happens in some of the other crises usually. So hence, I think that there is a level playing field. Of course, the way we will do it, of course, the nuances have changed a bit. We're not doing a face-to-face interactions, at least last year, but we're doing it. We've started doing it now. But I also feel that it's slightly overrated, this entire conversation that we can't do performance appraisals. I think as a country, especially India, I think we have gotten quite accustomed to this entire outsourcing environment or extended virtual organization of companies being out of the Western world. So I think outsourcing and virtual working is not new for us. I think it's fairly common. The outsourcing industry has been for many decades now. So I think the whole concept of working virtually is not new. I think it just became a little bit more predominant for us in India. And hence we have a little bit more, talk on this, that how will we sort of, but I think as a concept, I think it's been fairly, it is predominant. It is working very well, in other industries. So I don't think so it's any different for us. It is just the first time for us, where we have our own team members not sitting with us face to face. We're not being able to review them or see them or perceptions. But I do feel that it's slightly overrated. I think we should be able to do appraisals, do rewards, evaluate, pretty much as we were doing in past. Of course, there will be aberration, there will be exceptions, which is always the case. So, and I don't think so. It is beyond that.
Sure. Great.
I just want to add to what Aparna said. There would be a change happen, may not be immediately, but it would certainly, because pandemic has actually pushed all the organizations to look at their fixed costs. So the way in a little maybe 2 years, 3 years time, the way traditional appraisal systems have happened will definitely see a bit of change into it. Not everybody would be a part of appraisal cycle. Not everybody would also have permanent jobs. So the way it will change is that everybody having a annual goal setting exercises, everybody having annual appraisal cycles. The organizations will definitely look at a differentiation in workforce. Right. And the annual appraisal cycle, it has been long going through the same cycles. We have all been not having, because of better alternatives, we have been still stuck to the bell curve. These things, will definitely go through a change, because there would be two choices. One, extremely critical talent, which organization would not want to let go and would definitely want to retain. So a higher maybe a compensation to them, and then there would be a fungible or a transferable or a seasonal workforce. So the way the entire manpower is staggered would definitely go through a change, but not immediately. But yes, that's something which I can visualize.
Definitely. Sure. So I think that was interesting. I think another aspect of that is from an employer-employee. Only in that ecosystem, we talk a lot about most of our discussions are employee. How will employee be motivated? How to get employee to do the right things, and by doing that, are we missing out something on the employer side? I mean, this is again an open-ended question that we say ki employee will work from home, employee will do this, employee will do that. But from a leadership perspective, from an org perspective, what is it? There are challenges there as well, right? I mean, it's the pandemic hasn't impacted only employee in that ecosystem; it has also impacted employer or that leader or set of leaders who run the company. They also are the end user in that sense, that they have been impacted by pandemic. Can we throw some light on that aspect also, that there's an impact at the larger ecosystem of companies, employer, the way you look at business? Can you please put in some thoughts around that, because that has never been discussed. It has always been very employee centric. Most of the discussions I have attended have always been very, very employee centric.
Certainly, yes. I mean, organizations have certainly got impacted because of pandemic. And when you talk about employer-employee relationship, and it is a sort of a reciprocative relationship, wherein both way it is like we have to one side we have to meet the aspirations of the people. On other side, certainly organization has to run for the sake of people, for the sake of business also, and overall top management has to see that how best they can survive in this scenario. Certainly, it is like we have to look at the other side of the coin to see that if we look at our existence, but to what extent, I mean, for how many months we can exist, provided do our organization have those kind of funds available to run the show. And there lies our thought process as to how best we can help the organization so that tomorrow our continuity lies, because our existence also depends upon organization. Now, if that thing is understood, then there is a win-win scenario. And thereafter, if that thing is been taken over by the employees and they also have that kind of thought process and the support towards management also has to realize the aspect that yes, this thing has been taken over. It forms a great amount of trust which has been shown by the employees, and that reciprocative, reward should also go back to the employee in form of right method of, performance appraisal, right method of rewarding employees who were there at the time of the bad times, when organization was passing through bad times, maybe because of COVID, maybe because of, whatsoever are the reasons. So it is just like, a family wherein one need to support each other to, remain in existence for longer duration.
Sure. Thank you so much for that input, Mr. Rahul. Sure.
Yeah, I think the organization interest definitely has to be kept in mind, but at the same time, the way, as Mr. Rahul mentioned, that how they connect with their employees and how they treat, I think that really helps because I will give you an example that even I think many of the organizations would have faced that if their performance cycle has been like usually the financial cycle from April to March. So suddenly after lockdown, of course, all talks on performance management and had taken backseat, and hence the deferment of even the performance and the rewards. But the way employees have taken it up and considering that yes, their existence and the organization existence is mutually inclusive. So I think if that part has been communicated well by the management and has been well understood by the employees, I think then it is a win-win for both organization as well as for employees, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I echo exactly what I think Rahul and Sanjay mentioned. I think it's a two-way, a relationship, and I think. And it's what I saw. I think if you're, if you're true to your values as an organization, I think people carry that. People believe in that. They will, they will carry that with them, even if they're sitting at home or working from anywhere, or at last year wherever they worked from. And I think that was a really true test of the company's culture, the values, how we are all together. Because I think. Employees did respond to the need of the hour and need of the organization. And I think, like what Sanjay said, I think there was, in a way, a complete reciprocation from an employee perspective to the need of the organization. And companies did go through a tough time, at least in the middle of the year when we were suddenly hit with the pandemic. And I think there was a complete lockdown for nearly a month. So I think yes, I think there was two tests. It was a true test of not just the employees, but also, of course, the company's values and culture. And I think, at least I can say quite confidently for the company that I come from, I think it was very heartening to see how everybody responded in a very open and transparent way.
Absolutely. I think another important thing is to take a cue from what you're saying, Aparna, is I think communication, sometimes it's good to over communicate. I think that's okay. And when it's pandemic, I think it's good that at an org level, a leader level, you kind of make sure you tell your team if it is required every day for 7 days, that's okay. But you tell them the right thing so that they hear it right. This is what is happening. They don't make wrong assumptions. They don't hear and say all of that noise. I think over communication is very, very important. And I think that's the basis of trust as well. We ourselves have gone through this whole, we're a tech company, but then we also from day one, be very clear in what we're doing, what is the struggle, what's the plan. We were over communicating from day one. Our HR was always over communicative about what's happening, and that's what has kept all our team together. We have fought it together, and we're very, very confident that we are now kind of sure of what next, and we're completely transparent in that sense. So I think over communication, telling it out upfront, having clear to the point communication is very, very important, and doing it frequently is also extremely important from a leadership standpoint. I think that's pretty much there. I think I'd like to bring in Chandan.
Yes. In fact, I just stopped my video and I was quite listening to such interesting deliberation which is happening. And believe me, I at a time thought to be a co-panelist and do, present my inputs also, though may not be directly representing the HR community, but somewhere as
you're welcome, Chandan, to do that.
But being in a leadership role, I do, hire my, talent pool as well. So identifying the right, talent scale, since from, from hiring, motivating them, training them, retaining them, rewarding them, appreciating them, appraisals, and so many things has been taking place. So it is not an easy task. I definitely do get in line and I have true sentiments for the HR community in the kind of how peaceful and calm mind they must have to to have a very right balance and to maintain the right organization work culture. Correct. Over here. So in fact, it was to just conclude and just to say thank you note about it was an absolute, delightful session. It was very interesting session. I was thinking if you could have more participation from the audience still, by the time I give a thank you speech, may I please encourage and request the audience and participants who have been, so patiently listening to this wonderful session. Can we make this talk more, more a dialogue, maybe a virtual dialogue by, if you can please raise few of the questions to these panelists. They are here for you to, answer your queries. In case if we can utilize another 5 minutes in answering your query related to the topic which we have decided for the day, how automobile industry can transform their HR culture.
I think great. That's great. I think Chandan, you got your time also for your. I mean, you were able to express your thoughts as well. That's great.
So absolutely, I was just thinking because see, we thought to have these webinars and deliberations by identifying separate industries. So hospitality was one industry where the session got very excited because that market had just opened up. Likewise, in the case of automobile, we can see a couple of months back where the automobile industry was going and how it shooted up randomly. And the way it all depends upon the kind of HR culture and, HR transformation happens to an organization so that the work culture improves and overall the performance of the organization improves. So I can definitely echo to the thoughts and the kind of line of discussions. I thought Right Justice has brought to this session, and a very fruitful and interesting deliberation happened by giving an important, ideas by all the eminent speakers over there. So thank you so much, Ms. Aparna ji, India head from BMW, Ms. Jyoti Singh, HR head corporate communication from Honda HR, Mr. Rahul ji from head HR Sedan Vikas, and Mr. Sanjay Ahuja, head performance and talent management, TVS Motor. Thank you so much, Gurmeet ji. In fact, you did a wonderful task, a nice moderation done by you. The way you said that if you can, take the thread forward and if you can add to this thread is a nice statement I would definitely use in the speeches which I will be doing. So you all leaders are in a very top leadership role, and you have huge responsibilities over your shoulders. I do know. I'm sure that you and your team must have been delivering innovative ways of HR practices, which has brought transformation in the HR ecosystem and has improved the work culture and organization performance. So reskilling, skilling, and upskilling is the need of an hour. As Gurmeet ji also said, that collaboration is an opportunity which definitely we should look forward. And digital HR is utilizing this platform, giving you this knowledge sharing platform for more collaborative opportunity in days to come. So do we have certain questions over here?
I'll just check on that. Before I check on the questions, I just want to take that moment, pause, and say thank you to Mr. Rahul, Mr. Sanjay, Ms. Jyoti, Ms. Aparna. I think it has been an honor moderating this session. I've learned a lot. I thank for your time, and I hope we were able to give you the value for your time. Your time is precious. For senior folks, 1.5 hours each is a lot of time. Multiplied by 1.5 is, and I hope you enjoyed the session. We tried our level best to make sure you kind of engage. And thanks for your time. It was a pleasure for me, an honor for me to be moderating this session. So Chandan, I look at the Q&As. I think there is. I would request the participant to please, we still have the budgeted time. Please feel free to ask us any questions that you may have.
I'm not sure that this one question, which is like appeared for the second time, I'm not sure it is exactly aligned to this topic, what we have been discussing.
I also don't think so.
Yeah.
Maybe Gurmeet, if you can have a one-liner or one sentence closing remark by everybody as a conclusion of this session. Maybe a closing remark or a closing statement by every panelist.
Yeah, sure. I think I would invite the panelists, please, your closing remarks for the session. I think that'll be great.
Yeah, no, I think it was, I'm happy to go first. So first of all, thank you so much, Ashish, Chandan, Gurmeet, of course, Ashish and Chandan for inviting us and having us over here. I think it, of course, takes a lot of effort and organization to have such kind of digital platforms. It's not always easy. I think it's, of course, we've gone through the process. We totally appreciate what you're doing. And of course, Gurmeet, for you to help us moderate this, I think, it's extremely difficult. I think as HRs, we can clearly compliment you for helping us, sort of connect and engage, and we don't know each other. So imagine we find our employees whom we know in and out for many years, we find it difficult for you to engage with us and sort of keep the discussion live and very interactive. I think credit goes to you for keeping it
Thank
really
you so much.
and helping us all participate. I think all of us were jumping onto conversations and discussions sort of contributes. I think hats off to you for moderating this, but also to the panelists. I think Jyoti, what you shared about the focus of health and safety that you brought about in the organization during pandemic. I think, of course, I totally echo that, and I think that was very, very useful also as a food of thought. I think Sanjay, of course, you spoke about working anytime, working from anywhere and anytime. Definitely, I do resonate to working from anywhere, but working anytime is an extension of that. So right. I think thank you for providing your inputs and insights on various topics. And likewise, Rahul, I think, your perspectives on various topics, I think were very insightful and definitely something which all of us, I'm sure, will take back with us. So thank you once again from my side.
Yeah, Jyoti.
So I would just, I really would like to connect to what Aparna said, having all the HR people and, maintaining the balance between their talk, because we can really talk a lot. So I really appreciated the moderation which has happened, which kept, all of us allowed to speak and we were able to put across our point. Pandemic has been tough, not only on the organizations, but on us as well, because there were a lot of responsibilities which we never foresee. Participating in this panel definitely did a validation of what we were doing. I am sure all of us were doing a bit of this and bit of that and bit of everything. But when you hear it from, your colleagues or your veterans from the industry, it just does a validation that, we are on the right track. So I thoroughly enjoyed, the mind share. So thank you very much and really appreciated, everyone doing their bit during this time. Thank you very much.
So I would like to thank Gurmeet, and I think he was one connecting thread amongst all of us, and he was really patient in listening to us, and as well as summarizing it well at every speaker, whatever they were actually deliberating. And I would definitely say that helped all of us to even be fixated to this subject, and as well as we understood, I think, one common theme which is emerging out of entire discussion is the when we look at the culture, I think the human element, I think, is at the core of it. So this one thing definitely is a key takeaway, and I'm also glad that yes, every one of the panelists and even Gurmeet and Chandan, all of us are echoing the same sentiment. And thanks to all the panelists, and it really even gave me a lot of good insight. And in fact, I would say that I am really enriched by the discussion what I had today. And thanks to Chandan and Ashish, and of course, providing this opportunity. Definitely, I would say that this has contributed not only to us panelists, but also to the audience at large to really gain something from whatever we discuss. And thanks to all the participants who were really patient enough to listen to, and even I hope we were able to answer some of the queries, at least not answer, but at least leaving them with less doubts. So thanks to everyone.
Sure.
Thank you, Digital HR team. Thanks, Gurmeet. Thanks, Ashish. And thank you, Anand. I mean, it was really insightful. I think, Gurmeet, you started with the thread, and now you should look forward to becoming a fabric of entire HR fraternity and, increasing more and more such kind of useful, insightful webinars. And we had great learning. I mean, it was really fantastic. And thankful to you for inviting me. And thanks. I mean, thanks everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks everyone for your time. Pleasure. Chandan, over to you.
Yes. So thank you everyone once again. It's just that stay safe, stay tuned, and stay tuned to the digital HR social media platforms. We are very much present on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Do follow our pages to just be updated what is the next event and next topic which is coming up over here. So have a healthy life. Namaste to everyone. Thank you so much.